Means a chance for the fans to cheer Mark one more time, and if it's his last game, Sam, who would have ever thought Mark Messier makes a goal-saving play? And now the fans will respond as above the center ice here on the scoreboard. They showed some shots of Mark.
They're on their feet for one last ovation.
And he'll take the face-off, captain against captain, Mark Messier against Chris Drury.
And Mark playing it right toward the end. He already, I think they want to get some more time on.
They told Mark to back off. Kerry Fraser went and slowed things down.
1.3 on the clock.
Yeah.
And Mark's playing right to the end, instructing players what to do. He goes forward, it's blocked, it's over. And the chance of Messier go up one last time at Madison Square Garden for one of the greatest players in the history of the National Hockey League. One of the greatest to ever wear a Rangers uniform. The captain, Mark Messier. And the Buffalo Sabres have remained on the ice. What a tribute. The Sabres all staying on the ice to applaud the great Mark Messier. One last bow on the big stage. From every fan who may not know him but thinks they know him. And from the players who know him well, both his teammates and opponents. The cheers come down. He delivered the great promise that he brought with him from Edmonton.
And you know, Sam, he never once asked for the spotlight. He didn't even want people to know that this quite possibly would be his last game, and he wanted for sure, if it was, to have it here on Madison Square Garden ice in front of the fans of New York.
And the tears have built up. The legend began in Edmonton, and it continued in New York. And now it appears it has reached its climax, a glorious career.
Just like to say thank you to Mark for what he's done for hockey here in New York, for charities in New York. Yeah, he's a tough guy, and at times played the game as tough as it comes. But he's always had that class and dignity. He cared about everybody, the little man, all the time. He made younger players better. He carried himself like a pro should. He was a great captain. And thank you, Mark Messier.
Amen. One more time. A bow. The kisses thrown to the fans. Yes, sir. A bow on the big stage. And you can feel the love. Lindy Ruff, the Buffalo Sabres coach, acknowledging the great Mark Messier. And I know we talk about it here in New York because we're close to him, but around the league, he is respected and revered. And everyone knows what a great champion he has been. They're announcing the 3 stars of the game. One more time. He is awarded first star for one last encore.
One of the special people in the world of sports right there.
It's been a privilege to watch him play and to be able to watch him day after day as a member of the New York Rangers. as the
You know, it's a remarkable way to end a very disappointing season.
Yeah.
It is just remarkable. And there he is in the locker room taking his jersey off for what could be the last time.
Guys,
Almost hyperventilating.
Mark, I don't know how to put all this into words, and I know you're still...
the final moments of the great career of Mark Messier. There's a lot more to come. Mark Messier in what appears to be his last game of his wonderful 25-year career, scoring a goal. Now let's go to the Rangers locker room just moments ago.
Yeah, that's, well, thanks, Tom. I don't really have much to say other than to wish everybody good luck. And you're all starting out
See you training camp in October.
yeah, exactly. And just good luck to all your careers. It's a great game, and enjoy it. Got a stick for everybody from tonight, and we'll take care of that tomorrow or the next day. So good luck, guys.
The emotion written on the face of the great Mark Messier, and of course a stick for everybody, and wishing the players luck. Tom Rennie said before the game to us he would have liked to have sent Mark out of the locker room and closed the door and said to the rest of the team, "You're about to play with a Hall of Famer. Appreciate it."
That's a cinch Hall of Famer. 694 goals, all those Stanley Cups. A marvelous person to be around. That's maybe the biggest key of all, Sam.
But remember the memories that Mark Messier has given us. Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Final. The hat trick, forcing Game 7, which the Rangers won, going to the Stanley Cup Finals. And in Game 7, the Rangers won it. And jump for joy did Mark Messier. He delivered his promise to lead the Rangers. And when that banner was raised to the rafters here, no one was prouder than the captain. The end of a glorious career has come, and we thank him for the precious moments and the great memories he has provided all of us.
Night in New York Rangers history, a 54-year curse that was ended by the captain, and tonight we celebrate 1994 here on RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate. Just outside the ticket lobby of Madison Square Garden, Rangers fans have been pouring in since 9 o'clock this morning, getting set for tonight's festivities. All the hardware won by the captain on display, including the most prized possession in all of hockey. The Stanley Cup is here, Mark Messier is here, and we're glad that you're here on RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate. Hi again, everyone. I'm Bob Wischusen. We have special guests galore. What a night this is going to be, not only for Mark Messier, not only for all his friends and family and all of the Rangers of old that are here, but also for the fans of the New York Rangers that have spent so many years watching one of the great careers in National Hockey League history unfold, not only in Edmonton, and how appropriate it is that this is a night the Rangers play the Oilers, but certainly here on Broadway when the captain delivered on one of the most famous promises of all time. And a man who chronicled all of it, along with Sam Rosen and John Davidson, part of our Rangers broadcast team, is Al Troutwig, who is inside Madison Square Garden, where, Al, the fans are already taking their spots, I'm sure, for what is going to be some kind of a night.
Bob, I've been coming here since I was a little kid, and tonight I feel like a little kid again. There are some days and some nights when this place just has a different feel to it. We talk about it a lot, but it's tangible. And as the fans started coming in shortly after 5:30, I noticed that just about 1 out of every 2 was wearing a Mark Messier jersey. So about 500 fans are here already, and I'd say there are about 300 Messier jerseys. There are thank you Mark signs on the dashboard. 11 has been put on the ice. Preparations have been going on for months, and I can tell you that backstage, everybody is walking with a different sense of urgency today. All the backstage people, all the training staffs, and then you walk past the Edmonton Oilers locker room and you say, oh yeah, we're playing a game here tonight, and it couldn't be more beautiful. that the Edmonton Oilers are here. Kevin Lowe, who played more games than anybody with Mark Messier, 1,007, brings his team in here with Craig McTavish, who took the most important face-off in New York Ranger history, down at the other end of the ice. I can tell you that the program we have planned on television beginning at 6:30 is filled with all the video memories that any Ranger fan could want, and then the program starting at 7 o'clock on this ice will include some people we expected to see and some people that I hear buzzing about backstage that we didn't expect to see. It really feels great in here.
Al, when you think about all of the nights that you have spent at Madison Square Garden, as you talked about, and even when we look back on the night that Mike Richter's number was retired, it was magical, certainly. But I can't imagine the emotions that Mark Messier is going to be feeling, especially looking back at the press conference yesterday and how overcome he was by all of the attention and really just reflecting back on his own career.
Unbelievable to see him, fight through that and be funny in the process. And it's really an amazing contrast to the type of player he was. He's been called the sequel to Gordie Howe. He had a meanness in him, and he would not let you prevent him from getting to where he wanted to be on the ice. And I give him about 30 seconds, Bob, before he loses it.
All right, Al. Thanks very much. We all might be included in that. So that's Al Trautwig inside at Madison Square Garden. Again, we're outside on RE/MAX Rangers tailgate just outside the ticket lobby. And now we bring in the first couple of the four guests that we are going to have tonight. And they are certainly faces that are familiar to all Rangers fans. They joined Mark Messier in 1994 to win the Cup. His coach, Mike Keenan, is here, and Joey Kocur joins us as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight.
Thanks for having us. We're just delighted to be here.
I can't imagine what it's going to be for the two of you and all of the other Rangers of old that will be on the ice to help honor Mark Messier. This must be a very special night for both of you as well.
Well, just to get the invitation, I mean, there was no question. They asked us if we could make it into town. Every player that could make it, barring anything, was going to come. And to be out there this afternoon for our rehearsals, I mean, it was just special. We were getting chills walking on the ice in the rehearsal, so tonight's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's an exceptional opportunity for all of us to embrace and celebrate a great career, and of course to be part of a celebration as a group. That's typical Mark Messier. He invites a group of all the players he's played with. He certainly puts this group of players like Joey on top of the list to win the Cup.
Al Trautwig just mentioned the fact that he's been coming to Madison Square Garden since he was a little kid. I have as well. And when I look back at the image of Gary Bettman handing Mark Messier the Cup in 1994, all I can think of is little kid. I mean, really, it was a 35-year-old man that it looked like an 11-year-old being handed the cup. And I say that, with the utmost respect, because the look on his face, I guess you probably both understood it. And it may have been for the first time that we understood how much it meant to him to win the Stanley Cup that year.
Well, it began at the last face-off. You could see when we won the face-off, Craig McTavish wins the face-off, and Mark starts jumping up and down, as you said, childlike. Emotional man that it all came out, and then when Gary handed him the cup, as you can see vividly in the reflection of those videos, that it was an incredibly joyous opportunity for all of us, and particularly for Mark.
Joey, when I think back also on what Mark was talking about yesterday, the guarantee before Game 6 against the Devils, and the fact that he wanted all of his teammates to wake up the next morning and read that, without realizing that about 14 million other people, including the New Jersey Devils, would wake up and read it as well. But as a teammate, what was it like to read those headlines that morning of Game 6?
It built you up. I mean, if we had followed Mark through the whole season, he had the confidence, the character that he exhumed, we all took in. And to read that morning, I'm sure we were all thinking about ourselves, wondering, can we do it, and worrying about it. To read him say that, we had the confidence. We rode the bus over to New Jersey. We were ready to win. And again, we weren't letting Mark down. We weren't letting the fans down. We weren't going to let ourselves down.
Now, obviously, everyone that talks about Mark Messier, the word that seems to come to mind more often than any other is leader. So for you as his coach, how easy, how hard, what was the challenge to be, when you're the head coach, the leader of the team, but also have your right-hand man there as well, knowing what the balance was where you had to probably turn some authority over to him?
Well, for sure, it was not difficult at all. We had a great group. Mark being the individual that coordinated the group, brought the group together. We had great support people in there, great leaders in there, and the communication level between Mark and I, as Joe would tell you, was a daily ongoing part of what that group was going through in terms of dialogue, and it worked out exceptionally well.
Well, Mark Messier is being honored tonight here, of course, at Madison Square Garden. Joey Koser and Mike Keenan are here. We'll have a few more minutes with them when we return, and we're looking back at all of the special moments of Mark Messier's career as we continue tonight. The Stanley Cup is about to make its way upstairs. It was in Mark Messier's hands 6 different times as a National Hockey League player. And the first, let's look all the way back to Stanley Cup number 1 as an Edmonton Oiler.
Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio. June 1984, 23-year-old Mark Messier ignites the Edmonton Oilers to their first Stanley Cup. His brilliant performance is highlighted by an end-to-end rush that sparks the youthful Oilers past the New York Islanders as Mark Messier raises the cup for the first time. Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio.
Welcome back to RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate. I'm Bob Wischusen, just outside of Madison Square Garden. A moment ago, the Stanley Cup left our set and made its way up inside the Garden, where it will be part of the banner-raising ceremony as number 11 heads up to the Raptors forever here at Madison Square Garden. It's Mark Messier night. We're glad to be joined by Joey Koser and Mike Keenan for just a few more minutes. And, I want to go back, not even to the Stanley Cup Finals, but to the Devils series for one more moment. How hard was it to be ready for Game 1 against Vancouver and to play that 7-game series, coming off of what must have felt like a mini season in and of itself, playing the Devils for 7 games?
Well, you know what? There was so much excitement winning the Devils series because it was such a hard-fought battle. It was 3 double overtime games. The minute we finished that series, we started thinking about the Stanley Cup. I mean, the whole goal and everyone that whole season was to get in the finals and win it. So Mike and the coaching staff didn't give us more than a few minutes to celebrate, and we had to start thinking about the Canucks coming to town and get right to work. He's a slave driver.
He still sounds a little bitter. All these years later, he still sounds a little bitter.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think.
Really, the group was so excited about reaching the step that we had set ahead of ourselves at the beginning of the season. That was to win the Cup, but that meant you had to get to the finals. And it was an extraordinary series with Jersey. We had incredible respect for them. That's how close it was. We were fortunate to get by that series, and then we were on to business as usual immediately. The mindset of the group was not to be that reflective and look back at what they accomplished. They were looking forward to say, what's next?
How much did Mark have to do with that mindset?
Well, Mark had a lot to do with it because that mindset was established at the beginning of the year and followed throughout the years. As Joel said, it wasn't something that was established during that series or right after that series. That was just business as usual. Let's get on to the next series.
Other teams you've played on, teams are afraid to talk about the Stanley Cup during the season. They talk about it as a dream or as something that you're not supposed to talk about. Mark Brook came into the team and he talked about it from day one. He says, don't be scared about talking about it because we're going to win that. We want to talk about it. We want to get used to talking about it, and that's kind of how
building
it
an expectation and raising the bar, and that started right from day one.
And I guess that goes into his persona as a leader, correct?
Well, certainly he wasn't intimidated or afraid or diminished any responsibility of taking that on from day one. He built that expectation in the group. That's what he built in the guarantee. It was already in the group, and that's what we were able to follow through with. We had good fortune. We played great teams, but we had a good group of people, good chemistry, and a good leader.
The fans talk about the curse, and certainly the media talks a lot about the curse. It almost seemed, as we were talking during the break, that Mark not only acknowledged that the curse existed, but seemed to use it as motivation. And so often it seems athletes, when they're presented with something like that, want to sweep it under the rug and act like it doesn't exist. He almost, it seemed, used it to his advantage.
He took it upon himself as a challenge when he came to town. I mean, not many cities have a so-called curse, but he took it as a challenge to, as he said in his speech yesterday, that he was going to do whatever it took. He was going to die trying to make a Stanley Cup come to New York, and he did it.
He came from a platform where he was very successful in Edmonton. They won 5 Stanley Cups. He went to what I would think he embraced a bigger challenge, something that was even more difficult in his mind. After he had accomplished the great Stanley Cup victories in Edmonton, he wanted to go somewhere, no greater place than New York, to take on those challenges and that responsibility. And as Joe said, he didn't take it on the day the season began with us. He took it on the day he signed as a Ranger.
Can you believe it was 12 years ago now? I mean, it still feels like yesterday.
Well, he was saying earlier, I can't believe how quickly it's passed, and none of us can. We're the recipients of a great opportunity, a great celebration, and we feel privileged to be part of what the fans have embraced here. It's a tremendous feeling for all of us.
Well, we will certainly echo that, and it's been my privilege to have both of you come out and join me out here. Joey Koser, thanks very much. Mike Keenan.
Thank you,
I could sit here for an hour and talk hockey with you guys. I appreciate it, though, but we certainly have Mark Messier night on the horizon. We're talking a lot about not only Mark Messier's New York Ranger teammates, but also his Edmonton Oiler teammates, and one guy that bridged both, Esa Tikkanen, will join us when we come back on Remax Rangers Tailgate. How does Rick Tabaracci work himself into Mark Messier night? Well, he works himself in as the goaltender that was between the pipes when Mark Messier scored his 500th. Let's take a look back.
Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio. November 6th, 1995.
Cut pass, Graves to Messier. He shoots. He scores! Mark Messier, number 500, and it's a hat trick. What a night for Mark Messier!
And the Hats are starting to winter the ice.
Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio.
More exciting here, you know.
Nobody in the world sells more real estate than Remax, and this is Remax Rangers Tailgate. I'm Bob Wischusen outside Madison Square Garden. That now the scene inside as the fans assembling to honor the captain, Mark Messier, who will have number 11 raised to the rafters of Madison Square Garden tonight. Hi again, everyone. Welcome back outside to Remax Rangers Tailgate. And this is a man that bridged the gap not only with the New York Rangers, but also going back to Mark Messier's days with the Edmonton Oilers. Esa Tikkanen now joins us here on Remax Rangers Tailgate. And you can hear the reaction that you still get from the fans outside Madison Square Garden. This must be a special place for you to come back as well.
Like I say, this is great city to play hockey, and win the Stanley Cup in New York, it was the greatest moment of my life.
When you look back on 1994, where does that rank for you when you compare your days in Edmonton and what it meant to win this Stanley Cup as a New York Ranger?
Well, like I tell every time, this is city never sleep, and this is a city who earned it, win the Stanley Cup '94, and I think in Edmonton it was great to play hockey, but when you win in New York City in the Stanley Cup, you never forget it, that one.
Well, when you think back to your days in Edmonton and Mark's days in Edmonton, 4 Stanley Cups won there with Wayne Gretzky. Could you see Mark Messier emerging as the leader that we came to know him to be in New York, even when Gretzky was still playing with you in Edmonton?
Well, I think Mark was a different style of leader in the dressing room in Gretzky, and I think Mark was take a role bigger in the dressing room in Wayne. Wayne was quiet player, he scored the goals, but we have a team who win the Stanley Cup. One guy can do nothing. Mark coming in New York, he helped us here, unbelievable, and I think it was greatest moment to win with him here when that's last buzzer going and we won the Stanley Cup. He jumping like little kid in the ice. And I think everybody was happy. It was amazing.
When I look back also, as a sports fan, on what we thought Mark Messier was when your group was winning with Wayne Gretzky in Edmonton, and the fact that Gretzky then went to LA and your group won another Stanley Cup without him. I mean, to me, that really put a stamp on that group as being a great team, and not a great team surrounding one great player, but that you could survive arguably without the greatest player of all time and still win the Stanley Cup. That's an amazing accomplishment.
Yes, like 89 when Gretzky was traded, everybody was saying, well, guys, this is not the end of our hockey. Let's play our team, what we have, and like Messier stand up, say, hey guys, we have a chance to win it. And everything started the September training camp, and we was focused to only one thing: win the Stanley Cup that year. And 1990 we did it, and I think it was greatest moment because Wayne wasn't there, but I think it was proving the team was more together than anybody else.
When you think also about how that must have stamped Mark as a leader, now that Wayne Gretzky, the greatest player in the history of the sport, had moved on, and you still managed to win the Stanley Cup even without him, And I would assume that raised Mark Messier another couple of levels in the eyes of his teammates. Do you think that experience then allowed him to come here and do what he did in New York? I mean, do you think he could have led the Rangers the way he did had it not been for that experience at Edmonton without Wayne?
No, I don't think so. Wayne learned everybody, how to lead the teams, and Mark stepped up when Wayne was traded, and he was he was that for us, younger players, taking care of everybody, and off ice, on ice, and he proved it in 94 in the Stanley Cup Finals. When he say game 6 against the New Jersey, he'd say, "Hey boys, we go to win this one. I promise to you." Hey, that's prove everything. You don't have to ask anymore about the Mark. That's a dealership. And what he put in lineup that game against New Jersey in the game 6 in New Jersey, doing hat trick that game, and proving himself ready there.
I asked this question of Joey Kocur, and I'm interested to get your take as well, because you had been with Mark a long time. When you woke up that morning, the morning of Game 6, and you picked up the paper, I'm sure, in the hotel lobby, and that's the headline you saw on the back page, "We'll win tonight," basically a guarantee. What was your take?
Well, I heard that before, day before. I don't read a newspaper, but like I say, when Mark says something, he's got to do it. Hey, then you have to be behind him, and he was my teammate, he was leader, and every guy who was that dressing room that day was looking what the Mark doing, and they follow him, and that was unbelievable. That's why the Mark saw up that game, doing a hat trick that game, and doing everything one step ahead of it. New Jersey players was unbelievable, and that's why he was so great leader, and everybody followed him after that.
He's such an emotional person. Certainly we saw that at the press conference yesterday. We saw that a few years ago when he returned for the first time as a Vancouver Canuck. We even saw that on his face the first night he was introduced as Rangers captain here at Madison Square Garden. So tonight, I mean, again, you've known him for a long time. How emotional do you imagine this experience will be for him?
It's going to be unbelievable. I remember myself when I was a year and a half ago, I was here. I got a standing ovation in 18,000 fans, and every time when you're coming back in New York, and these fans are great fans, and it's make hard. Like today, I bet everybody go to cry because one of the greatest players go to quit again, and he's not going to be in the ice anymore. We're not going to see. But hopefully, Mark going to be in the hockey, bowling in New York, or where he's going to play in the hockey. Like I think our half the guys in the world in the hockey right now, and I hope so. Mark going to stay with the hockey, and we go to see more often him.
Well, it's amazing to think that it was 12 years ago now that 1994 took place, but the memories are all still fresh for us. You helped bring them back, so Esa Tikkanen, thanks so much for coming out and joining us. We appreciate it. Esa Tikkanen, Edmonton Oilers champion, New York Rangers champion, all with Mark Messier joining us here on RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate. We'll come back with more and get you set for Al Trautwig in a very special edition Hyundai Rangers game night that comes your way at the bottom of the hour. And then, of course, at the top of the hour, we begin the festivities at 7 o'clock. The lights will go out at Madison Square Garden, and it will be time for Mark Messier night. The Rangers and Oilers, and the captain's number goes to the Raptors. All that coming up. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a moment on RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate.
Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio. June 14th, 1994. The captain delivers what he had promised.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions, and this one will last a lifetime.
Captain Mark Messier, come get the Stanley Cup.
Messier Moments, brought to you by XM Satellite Radio.
Yeah.
This is RE/MAX Rangers Tailgate. I'm Bob Wischusen, quickly joined by Nick Kypreos, who made a surprise appearance out here to sit down with us, and he's even documenting the night.
Bob, you're on the Kipper cam right now.
But this is the Kipper cam?
It is.
Am I supposed to say something clever?
Anything you want, man.
Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. It's going to be a very special night.
It is incredible. It is incredible. I think it's got a chance to be as loud in there as it was when we won the Cup in 1994.
Well, Nick Kypreos is going to be on the ice. Mark Messier will be on the ice. And coming up next, Al Trautwig will get you set. It's Rangers game night in just a moment. Don't go away.
From the MSG Sports Desk on a special night at the Garden, I'm Steve Cangelosi. Budweiser sets the MSG Network lineup for what the Rangers are calling a celebration of the captain. Rangers game night, followed by ceremonies for Mark Messier. Rangers and Edmonton Oilers Sports Desk is after the game, and then Hockey Night, New York Live, presented by Panasonic. The Islanders make it official this morning, firing coach Steve Sterling, replacing him for the rest of this season with assistant Brad Shaw. General manager Mike Milbury is on the way out as well. Rangers game night is next.
MSG welcomes you to a celebration of the captain. His stature was cemented on the night of June 14th, 1994, when he ended the 54 years of anguish and torment for Ranger fans by winning the Holy Grail. Today in New York City, and this is a big event town, Radio City Music Hall is right in step with a celebration of the captain on one marquee and, of course, at Madison Square Garden. If you're a sports fan, this is the place to be on the planet tonight. For only at the Garden can they throw a party like this. The big arrival of Mark Messier and some of his family, and, of course, right in step with the way he has had his relationship with Ranger fans through the years, taking time outside where the larger-than-life banner stood on the facade of Madison Square Garden to sign autographs for those he has called the Garden Faithful. And the good thing is, no tears yet, but there soon will be. Mark Messier with his trademark smile and salute up the ramp to the 5th floor of Madison Square Garden, where the party will be all about him. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Trawick at the world's most famous arena. Mark Messier has had 6 nights that have largely defined his success as a player when he won the Stanley Cup. I guarantee, just like he once guaranteed a big-time win in the playoffs, that he will say tonight ranks up there with him as a 7th. Now, tonight is also the night when New York City wraps their arms around him with cheers that only sound the way they do at Madison Square Garden to say thank you for 1994 and for the way you played the game. And right there to offer their salute are going to be the only other men to be honored by the New York Rangers by having their numbers retired here at Madison Square Garden. The great Rod Gilbert was the first to see it go up in 1977. After that, Eddie Giacomin's number 1 was side by side with Rod Gilbert's number 7. And then in 2004, his career cut short, Mike Richter was honored in grand style here at the Garden with number 35, never to be worn again. And tonight, all 3 of those men are back to help salute the captain. A couple of days ago, they stripped down the ice to put 2 11s behind each net in salute of Mark Messier tonight. Jim Beats Johnson applying a patch to every Rangers sweater. They will wear it in the game tonight that perfectly they will play in a game against the Edmonton Oilers, the team with which Mark Messier won 5 Stanley Cups. And they'll join in the salute in celebration here of the 6th that he won with the New York Rangers. Why is he the focus of all this attention? Well, on the ice, there are thousands of reasons. In 25 years, he's second all-time in games played, goals scored, assists passed off, and points registered. In the playoffs, where he really defined himself as a player, second all-time in games played, second all-time in goals, assists, points, and he scored 14 shorthanded goals. 16 times he was honored as an All-Star, won the Hart Memorial Trophy as MVP of the league twice. In '94, when the Oilers won their first cup, he was the playoff MVP, 1984, and then twice he won the Lester B. Pearson Award in his hockey career. Of course, he's a player that started when he was a teenager, and there were early signs that he was something special. In sport, no one is born to greatness, to legend. This, of course, must be earned. For the special handful of truly great athletes, it is a journey that begins in the earliest of days.
I think the first time I had him on the ice was when we lived in Portland, Oregon. I was playing pro with the Portland Buckaroos, and during the summer I had a hockey school, and his older brother played hockey, so he was going to play, and during the summer when he was 3 years old, we had him on the ice, and he started skating then.
Mark Messier bypassed junior and college hockey for the WHA, where as a 17-year-old, he first caught the eye of his future coach, Glenn Sather.
Skating always impressed me the most, but I like the twinkle in his eyes as well. You could see that there was a great thirst for hockey in this guy.
A year later, Messier was selected by his hometown Edmonton Oilers, and the legend that would become Mark Messier was beginning to take shape.
For on the ice, he led by example. He protected his teammates. He would do whatever it took, whether it was the finesse game or the power game, to sort of get to the team to the level that it needs to be.
Mark would score a big goal. Mark would make a big play. Mark would fight the toughest guy on the other team. Mark would physically punish the better players on the other teams. And his unselfishness in the locker room was pretty unique.
He could take control of a game, complete control, the mental aspect of the game, the physical aspect of the game, the talent aspect of the game. You name it, he did it all.
People gravitated towards him, and when he talked, people listened, but then he went out and backed up the words that he spoke.
Flanked by gifted teammates, the flashy Oilers in 1984 would begin an incredible stretch of Stanley Cups. At the core of the group were two of the greatest players of all time, Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne was the captain. I mean, he was the guy that was setting all the records. But there was a lot of guys in that team that looked up to Mark because of his leadership abilities and just because of the way he did lead. And he was a quiet, strong kind of a guy, and when somebody needed a kick in the pants, Mark was generally the guy that did it.
The reason why the Oilers were so great is because they had, two comparable, stars, but different types of players. One was complete finesse and the other was more, the power game.
Those two were the main pieces, and they recognized that in themselves, that Mark wasn't going to be as good a player if he wasn't playing in behind Wayne, and Wayne wasn't going to have the same success if he wasn't playing in behind Mark. And they weren't jealous, and they put it together themselves, and it was a great journey for the two of them.
Messier would add a fifth cup after Gretzky's departure from the Oilers. A year later, it was he himself who would leave Edmonton for New York, where he'd be faced with the biggest challenge of his professional career. This is a tough ticket tonight here at Madison Square Garden, and it's great to see that thousands of the diehards got him. Diehards know, of course, that Mark Messier became a Ranger in 1991. What they couldn't hear was Brian Leetch turn to a teammate and say, "Can you believe that's Mark Messier wearing our uniform?" October 7th, 1991. Mark Messier appears on Garden ice for the first time as captain of the New York Rangers.
Number 11, Mark Messier.
Messier to corner, he scores! The Rangers win in overtime again!
October 7th, 2001. On an emotional night, less than a month after the 9/11 tragedy, the captain, Mark Messier, in a spontaneous show of support for the city's firemen, policemen, Port Authority, and EMS personnel, dons the helmet of fallen hero, Deputy Chief Ray Downey. That was part of Mark Messier. This, of course, is the other. All the hardware that his name is engraved on, that he's won in his 25 years. At the Garden yesterday for a press conference where Mark Messier wanted to address the media and Ranger fans. At times, it looked as though he would barely be able to get through it. There with Glenn Sather, Gary Bettman, Garden CEO Jim Dolan, and of course former teammates and family for what became a long photo opportunity. Well, earlier we detailed the things that made Mark Messier special as a child and when he became a member of the Edmonton Oilers. To this day, I still don't know if there was a curse or not, but when he became a Ranger in 1991, it certainly felt like it. Then after being the President's Trophy winners and failing to make the playoffs, it still felt like it again, until 1994. After a half-century of Cup frustration, the New York Rangers in 1991 made the single most important move in the history of the franchise. One with just one outcome in mind: to win the Stanley Cup.
A lot of people ask, what did Mark Messier bring to New York? And in my mind, it's belief. He changed the entire culture and the entire mindset of everyone within the locker room and I think within the organization to focus on the Stanley Cup.
The moment he came, there was a significant difference. There was a definite focus on winning the Stanley Cup as a goal and creating a real close team in the locker room.
It took a leader as great as Mark Messier for the Rangers to win the Cup. And I remember him saying to me at one point, it was like, you know, there's a lot of demons here. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you know, got to slay all that stuff.
Messier's legendary leadership would reach its zenith during his time in New York.
Generally, when he spoke, he followed it up with his actions on the ice. So it was, you know, it was very easy for the players to connect the dots. You know what he said and how to go about it. So you're either with him or you're against him, and there wasn't too many guys against him.
I remember even standing to start the game on the blue line, and a lot of guys had different superstitions. One guy used to stand over here, and he said, no, we all stand together. 5 of us stand on the blue line together. We're a team, and we present a united front.
Messier's stated goal of winning a cup in New York looked to be all but over in the spring of 1994. It was then, faced with the stiffest of odds, that the captain put everything on the line for himself and the team.
Mark and I drove to practice all the time together, and you know, usually you just get up in the morning, you jump in the car, and you know, whoever's driving, the other one's reading the paper and just commenting on stories in the paper. And we picked up the papers, and you know, of course, on the front of the sports page had "We will win tonight," and we just started laughing and said, "Attaboy, way to go, Mark!" And he started laughing too and shook his head.
Messier shot, score! Again, saved one goal, rebound, score! The empty net, Mark Messier, do you believe it? He said we will win Game 6. He has just picked up the hat trick.
He had come to New York with but one goal, one thought unachievable for 54 years.
Nice pass to Zubal. Zubal speeds leads, scores! Mooney's backhander save, and they score! Messier!
But on June 14th, 1994, Mark Messier and his New York Rangers delivered.
The waiting is over! The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions! And this one will last a lifetime!
From leadership to speed and skating to physicality. If you wanted to build a hockey player, you would probably take Mark Messier mold and said, yeah, I'd like a little bit of everything.
He brought so many intangibles to the sport of hockey, you know, his aggressiveness, obviously his hockey ability, his unselfishness, the ability to win under pressure, to accept the responsibility of leading teams to win. You know, he's going to be known as a true champion.
Certainly Mark's name should be synonymous with the greatest of all time, not only in hockey, but in sports.
Played with a lot of players in this league, but the one person that I always respected was Mark Messier because of his leadership. The one thing I always said about Mark is he played with his heart. He always had his heart in his sleeve. And You know, I know he's a great leader, and I know what kind of a player he was, but to me, he's a guy that has a lot of tenderness and compassion. And if you're around him and his family or his children, you'll see that.
The thought that a hockey team in this town could bring 3 million people to the streets to celebrate what happened that night was unthinkable. But it happened with Mark Messier in the driver's seat. And along the way of his 25-year career, he passed the man that many people feel he was the sequel to. November 4th, 2003. Mark Messier passes the great Gordie Howe to take over the second spot on the NHL's all-time points list.
This is it! Score! Mark Messier is number 2 all-time in scoring in NHL history! What a night!
This is Mark Messier at a reception that right now is in its final minutes. One of the first men he hugged is the man who said, "We win the cup, we'll walk together forever," Mike Keenan. And the men of 93-94 are back in the building, or most of them anyway. There's Mark and his father, Doug, a hockey player as well. Mike Richter back at Madison Square Garden. There's Eddie Jockman, the elite fraternity of men who've had their numbers retired by the Rangers, and a member of that 94 championship team, Sergei Nemchinov. Sam Rosen was there with the large clan of Messiers.
Thanks very much, Al. I'm here with the whole Messier family. Everybody excited. They look great. You really dressed great tonight. All right, Mary Kay, how's Mark handling this?
I think he's doing a tremendous job. He's really excited. We're all excited. It's just going to be a great night, Sam.
Mary Jean, your son, how does he feel about this?
I think he's ready for it. I think he's had 2 years to prepare, Sam. So if he's not ready now, he's never going to be ready. He might be lacing them up again.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Did you bring extra tissues?
I did.
All right. Doug, what do you think about tonight?
I got the rest of the tissues she forgot.
Lion, what do you think about that?
I'm just excited for him right now. It's going to be a good night.
It's the end of a glorious era, isn't it?
It is, but it's going to be a special night tonight.
All right, anything to say to Mark before we send it back?
Thanks for the ride. Thanks for the ride.
There you go. That's it, Al. Thanks for the ride from the entire family. Have a great night. Back to you.
Okay, Sam, some good one-liners in there. By the way, that was Mark's 18-year-old son, Lion, who has started his minor hockey league career down in Texas. We'll come back and get some player thoughts on Mark Messier's honoring tonight. We're just a few minutes away from the big celebration. Speaking of celebrations, there was this. June 17th, 1994. The city of New York rejoices as the Stanley Cup champion New York Rangers are honored down the Canyon of Heroes with a ticker tape parade. The celebration is one of the most memorable in this city's history. March 31st, 2004. In what would be his final NHL game, Mark Messier bids an emotional farewell to an adoring Garden crowd.
And the chants of Messier go up one last time at Madison Square Garden.
And of course, with a flair for the dramatic, Messier scored in that final game. The Empire State Building with the program all dressed up in red, white, and blue, and why not? He was a King Kong of sports in this town. Mark Messier's big night just moments away. Not too many players who were with the 1994 team or played with Mark along the way are still playing hockey, but some are, or at least actively involved in the sport. They can't be here tonight, and it's a pretty short list of players who were on that 1994 team. It was a dreamy year, but so was the year that Mark shared with Wayne Gretzky, who has these thoughts on the man he shared so many great games with in Edmonton and in New York.
My first impressions of Mark were same as everyone else's. You know, he was raw, he was big, he was strong, he could skate like the wind, And we knew that somewhere in there was some great ability, and it was just a matter of maturing for him to be a great hockey player. If you ever sat down with Mark after a game and a player got a hat trick and they were sitting together, you wouldn't have known which guy got the hat trick, Mark or the player beside him, because he was just as happy for a teammate to score 3 goals as he was for himself. It was pretty unique, and I think that sort of bled through the hockey team. He brought so many intangibles to the sport of hockey, you know, his aggressiveness, obviously his hockey ability, his unselfishness, the ability to win under pressure, to accept the responsibility of leading teams to win. When he went to New York, you know, they hadn't won in so long. He could handle the pressure. You know, he stood up, and that was the one thing about Mark. He never shied away from it, never bothered him, and he was just genuinely excited to go to New York City. He's going to be known as a true champion, and I've said this to many people, and I've told this to Mark. You know, in the New York area, you only have a very few handful of athletes that are sort of over the top, and they've had a lot of great athletes. But I always think of Babe Ruth in baseball, and I think of Willis Reed in basketball, I think of Joe Namath in football, and I think of Mark Messier in hockey. He brought a championship to the city of New York, and something they'll never forget.
Wayne Gretzky with the list of legends that Mark Messier is obviously a part of in this town, New York City. No place holds an event quite like this. An honoring of Patrick Ewing and Mike Richter leads up to great anticipation of what's just now minutes away. Thanks for joining us on this special edition of Hyundai Rangers Game Night.
I've got another confession to make. I'm your fool. Were you born to resist or be abused? Is someone getting the best, the best, the best, the best of you? Is someone getting the best, the best, the best, the best of you? Is someone getting the best?
Do you believe it? He said we will win Game 6. He has just picked up the hat trick. Mark Messier, number 500. Mark Messier is number 2 all-time in scoring in NHL history.
The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions, and this one will last a lifetime.
This is Al Troutwig live at Madison Square Garden. Later on, the New York Rangers will take on the Edmonton Oilers. An absolutely perfect backdrop for a night we'll never forget. The celebration of the captain now begins. One who leads. It is the simple definition of a captain. The captain leads with but one goal. The captain shows no compromise. The captain will never surrender. One goal, one incredible man to achieve it. The captain, Mark Messier. The arrival of Mark Messier in 1991 marked the dawn of a new era in New York Rangers hockey. One built on heart, one built on unquenchable desire. An era where doubt and disappointment would be erased. And glory would return to the world's most famous arena.
Number 11, Mark Messier.
The Rangers win in overtime again. Verbeek finds Messier wide open. He moves in. He scores. He shoots. He scores. Number 500.
In 1994, Through the uncommon leadership of Mark Messier, the New York Rangers would accomplish what so many had said was impossible.
Messier shot, score! Do you believe it? Do you believe it? He said we will win Game 6. He has just picked up the hat trick.
The heart, soul, and desire that had symbolized Mark Messier's brilliant career would help make the New York Rangers Stanley Cup champions.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. And this one will last a lifetime.
In a professional career that spanned more than 25 years, Mark Messier established himself not only as one of the greatest players to ever lace up a pair of skates, but as one of the true great leaders in all of sport. He helped his teams capture 6 Stanley Cups. He led by example. He made everyone around him faster, stronger, and more courageous. He made everyone a winner. One goal, one incredible man. The captain, Mark Messier.
Everyone. I'm John Davidson, and welcome to another special evening here at Madison Square Garden. Many legends have graced the Garden ice. Hall of Famers have been made here. Miracles have happened here. The best that ever played the game played their best games here. But for all the decades and all the history and all the proud and valiant men that ever wore the Rangers sweater, there has only been one captain. So tonight we say thank you. Tonight we celebrate. Tonight we raise the banner, as only New York can, to the captain, Mark Messier.
Of New York. Almost 15 years ago, I learned that I had been traded to the New York Rangers. I said to myself, my life has just changed forever. I had a great understanding of the Rangers' history, and the challenge of being a part of a team committed to ending the Stanley Cup drought sent chills through my body.
The Rangers' newest captain, wearing uniform number 11, Mark Messier.
When I was introduced as the next captain of the New York Rangers, I remember saying to myself as the crowd roared, I will do anything in my power to bring a Stanley Cup to the fans of the city.
For the empty net, Mark Messier, do you believe it? Do you believe it? He said we will win Game 6. He has just picked up the hat trick.
I feel the 94 Cup team will be remembered as just that, a team. We became a team that the city could be proud of, on and off the ice. In the end, we all came together. We were the ultimate team, and to me, that was the most beautiful thing of all. We leaned on each other to ultimately do what no other team could do for 54 years, and I thank each and every one of you for your support and commitment to a journey we will never forget.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions, and this one will last a lifetime.
The frightening images we all witnessed will be forever etched in our memories. However, for me, what I will never forget is the human spirit, resolve, compassion the people of New York demonstrated during this crisis. Together we fought through maybe the toughest test of our lives and showed what makes New York such a special place. We will never forget the loved ones that were lost, but we can feel proud of the way we stood together. It is you, the people, the friendships, the handshakes, the smiles, the good luck wishes, to all the people who work to make the Garden what it is and what it stands for. Thank you. Thank you for being you and accepting me into your domain. Retiring was one of the toughest decisions I have ever had to make, and I know in my heart it was the right decision. So, thank you, Garden faithful. Thank you for believing in me and allowing me the honor of being your captain for 10 years. Thank you for making the Garden feel like home and for making my family part of the Garden family. Thank you, Garden faithful. Your captain, Mark Messier.
We can all remember and go back to October 7th, 1991, when Mark was introduced as the new captain of the New York Rangers. None of us knew then that he would become simply the captain. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that brought New York the Stanley Cup, the captain, Mark Messier. names will forever be remembered by everyone privileged enough to be in this building and in this city on that great night, June 14th, 1994. They said if you won that night, they would walk together forever. Please welcome members of that Stanley Cup Championship Rangers team, led by the greatest trophy in sports, the Stanley Cup. Assistant coach Colin Campbell. Head coach Mike Keenan. President and General Manager Neil Smith. And now the players. Number 6, Doug Lidster. Number 10, Esa Tikkanen. Number 12, Eddie Olczyk. Number 13, Sergei Nemchina. And on the Oilers bench, number 14, Craig McTavish. Number 15, Mike Hudson. Number 16, Brian Noonan. Number 18, Mike Hartman. Number 19, Nick Kyprios. Number 23, Jeff Bukaboo. Number 24, Jay Wells. Number 26, Joe Kosar. Number 27, Alexei Kovalov. Number 30, Glenn Healy. Number 32, Stefan Matteau. Number 36, Glenn Anderson. And on the Oilers bench, assistant captain Kevin Lowe. Assistant captain Steve Larmer. And assistant captain number 9, Adam Graves. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1994 Stanley Cup champion New York Rangers. And now, the 3 distinguished blue shirts that hold the rare distinction of seeing their banners hang from the garden rafters. An 11-year Rangers veteran, Hockey Hall of Fame, and only the second man in Rangers history to have his number retired, the incomparable Eddie Giacomin. The Rangers' all-time leading scorer and a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. His number 7 was the first to be retired by the Rangers, the one and only Rod Gilbert. Mark, before we hear from some of the special people gathered here in your honor, we would like to present you with a few gifts to celebrate all that you have meant to the Garden faithful and to the New York Rangers organization. Ladies and gentlemen, besides hockey, Mark has a great passion for big game sports fishing. And now Jeff Bukaboom and Nick Kiprios from the '94 Cup team, they will present Mark with a personalized fighting chair featuring the team's slogan from that year, Heave Ho, so the spirit of '94 will always be with Mark on the high seas. And keeping with that theme, from this year's Ranger squad, alternate captains Jaromir Jagr, Steve Ruchin, and Darius Kasparaitis are presenting Rod with personalized fishing rods and reels so that the next generation of Rangers can also be with him on his great fishing expeditions. Representing the group that is about to welcome Mark into its exclusive ranks, the retired Rangers jerseys, Mike, Eddie, and Rod are presenting Mark with a portrait of that unforgettable '94 Cup celebration in New York's Canyon of Heroes. Mark has long been known for his dedication to the Tomorrow's Children's Fund. Here tonight from TCF are Sharon Romano, Jack Zaffretti, and Robert Griffo in support of Mark's extraordinary commitment. The Rangers, along with the Messier family, have commissioned a limestone sculpture of a golden eagle entitled, "Out of the union of the heart and soul comes vision." Sharon will unveil the sculpture inspired by the strength and majesty of Mark himself. This sculpture will be a permanent part of the newly unveiled Mark Messier Skyway at the Children's Wing of the Hackensack University Medical Center. Ladies and gentlemen, also in support of Mark's commitment, please welcome the President and CEO of tonight's event sponsor, XM Satellite Radio, Hugh Panero, and Rangers season ticket holder, Matthew DeCarlis, who are presenting Mark with a check for the Tomorrow's Children's Fund for $211,000. Ladies and gentlemen from XM Satellite Radio, and also you, the fans, you donated too. Thank you very much, Ranger fans. We all know how important Mark's family is to him. So the idea for this final gift from the Rangers organization and the Garden is an answer to Mark's most personal wish. We've been told his biggest dream is to bring his entire family to Ireland to celebrate his mother's Mary Jean O'Day's heritage. We are proud to welcome 19 members of Mark's family, including his parents, Doug and Mary Jean, his fiancée, Kim Clark, his children, Lion, Douglas, and Jacqueline, his sisters, Jenny and Mary Kay, his brothers, Paul, and other members of the Messier family. They are being led by members of the New York City Fire Department Ceremonial Pipe and Drum Unit, as we present Mark with that special trip to the Emerald Isle in 2006. We hope the memories they share will be as cherished as all of the memories Mark has brought to all of us over these many years. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to hear from some of Mark's closest friends. They've been some of the Rangers' greatest players. He has recently returned to the Rangers organization as one of the most popular Rangers of all time. Please welcome Adam Graves.
I can't do anything but smile when I see Mess's face. On behalf of all of his teammates, Mess, it was a privilege to skate alongside you. And it is an honor for us to be here to celebrate Mess the person, Mess the player, Mess our friend and leader. On October 4th, 1991, Mark became a New York Ranger. I have often been asked, what was the greatest impact Mark had on our entire team? And in one word, belief. He made us believe that the Stanley Cup was our destiny. He changed the culture. He made us stronger as players, stronger as a team, and stronger as an organization. Mess taught us about the tradition and the privilege of being a Ranger. Early in the 1991-92 season, before a game, a jersey fell to the ground in the dressing room. Mess jumped up, almost startling everyone in the dressing room, quickly ran over, picked up the jersey, and put it back in the locker high, reinforcing the fact that that jersey was a flag that we wore on our chest. Never again would a Ranger jersey touch the floor. Mess's passion, love, and understanding of what it means to be a Ranger was etched in his smile and on his heart for all of us to see. Mess led with compassion, emotion, and he was honest. He never asked anyone to do anything that he wasn't willing to do himself. Anything. In thinking about today's celebration, I grabbed a pen and a paper and I wanted to put together what I felt would be the prototype for the ultimate player. And it goes something like this. He would skate like Mess. He would pass like Mess, 3rd all-time in assists. He would shoot like Mess, 7th all-time in goals. He would have the durability of Mess, 2nd all-time in games. And then there's the intangibles, the big hits, the big face-offs, his ability to play inside the rules late in the game. And then there was the intimidation factor, his ability to play outside the rules. Package all this together with his leadership his big game performances, May 25th, 1994, and 6 Stanley Cups, and in particular 1994. We were not only teammates, we were all fans. We do not need a video. In fact, most of us, in fact, everyone in this building can close our eyes and remember Mark skating down the off wing, getting up on one foot and putting the puck inside the far post, right here at the Garden. Mark, for anyone who has had the good fortune of being a part of your life, thank you. Thank you. I know a great deal of Mark's strength comes from his family, and I want to thank the entire family. They epitomize what family is all about. I would be remiss if I didn't include one other significant person and friend who wasn't able to be here tonight, who I know, Mark, will be up there with you in the rafters one day. Brian Leach.
Hi, Mark. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight to celebrate your great Rangers career. You know, it doesn't seem that long ago that I was in the Rangers dressing room, 20 years old, preparing to play the Edmonton Oilers for the first time. My teammates were giving me advice about the different players on the team. When it came to you, they said, oh, he's a great player, very fast, can be dirty, get him to take penalties. So sure enough, first period, I'm pinching down the wall, trying to keep the puck in. You're going the other direction. Instead of lifting my stick or chipping the puck by me or even pancaking me with your shoulder, you proceed to spear me in the gut. As I go down, I hear no whistle, realize there's no penalty, and get up and get back into play. It's then that it dawns on me that I've received NHL lesson number 1 from Mark Messier, a man with 4 Stanley Cups, an intimidating reputation with the referees, easily trumps a wide-eyed NHL rookie with 10 games of experience in the NHL. Fortunately for me, you would soon be traded to the Rangers, and with your help, my NHL education would continue in a less painful manner. When you moved into the city, we drove to and from practice together. We're roommates on the road. And during that time and over the years, we had a lot of laughs, had a lot of conversations about our team, about our family, and about life in general. Yet I was influenced more as a player and a person, not from anything specific you said to me, but more from your interaction with others. The way you treated your family with love and respect, the enthusiasm and an excitement you had when sharing in a teammate's success, and the importance of including everybody, and the care and genuine concern you had for other people's lives away from the rink. And certainly your ability to express to us as a team the sacrifices and hard work that was needed to reach our goals, and then showing us that these weren't just words by going out and leading the way. The respect I had for you as a person made each bad game or loss hurt just a little bit more because I didn't want to let you down. Yet each good game or win was magnified because of your excitement and your acknowledgement in a job well done. You know, your accomplishments, Mark, on the ice will live in the record books forever. I just wanted to thank you personally for your guidance and friendship over the last 18 years. Oh yeah, and for helping me get my name on the Stanley Cup in '94. Mark, you're a great man. You're a great champion. You are the captain. Congratulations on an amazing career, my friend.
And next, we'll hear from someone who knows what it feels like to see his number hang from the Garden rafters. Number 35. Come on up, Mike Richter.
Thank you. I want to thank you for having me here at Mark Messier tonight, sponsored by Kleenex. Eddie, we were talking in the back, and Eddie Jockman, before we went out, said, it's fantastic what they do here in New York, but why would they ever give Mark a barber chair? And Mark, that barber chair is not going on my boat, so enjoy it. I'm supremely privileged tonight to be asked to pay tribute to perhaps the most complete athlete to ever put on a pair of skates. I know I can speak for Eddie and Rod to say that we're excited and humbled to share this place of honor with you. There are three unique aspects of Mark's personality that made him so very special as an athlete and effective as a leader. First, he at all times exemplified what needed to be done to be a champion. He was a near perfect example of mental toughness. Secondly, he celebrated the accomplishments of others with as much intensity as he pursued his own. And third, he recognized each person for their particular contribution to the team's success. A wise man once said, "Become the change you wish to see in others." Mark did not just say what needed to be done, he did it. He lived it. Mark Messier embodied basically every positive attribute that we could wish for in an athlete. His commitment to discipline and excellence was entire. The result was his teammates' unwavering loyalty. And this was Mark's true genius, his unparalleled ability to bring out the best in others. However, the intimidating physical presence can overshadow one of the most human people that I know. Inside this hardened warrior is a soft heart, and it has served him well. Because winning teams don't just compete together, they respect, support, and care for each other. They are, in a word, family. And to this family called the New York Rangers, Mark could not have been more devoted. I have simply never experienced a person to be as genuinely excited for another's success as he is. Think about how thrilled he was for Sergei Nemchinov on Sarge's first goal. His fatherly pride on the play of two rookies that same year, some kids named Tony Amante and Doug Waite. Who can forget the embrace and his delight when Brian Leetch won the Conn Smythe Trophy? I still think Mark was more excited by that than Leachy. Finally, the ecstasy when winning the cup. Who but Mark would think to hand it to the crowd? He's as much of a fan as he is a player. Lastly, Mark demonstrated his leadership by his inclusiveness. He believed that to be successful, every single person in the organization must be respected as a critical piece of the puzzle that they are, and he demanded that of us. Just prior to the parade in 1994, he took time to remind us of the people in the front office, the training staff, and the stick boys. Acknowledge them, he said. They are as much part of our success as anybody in this locker room. He may know a little bit about winning, but he knows an awful lot about life. I'll leave you with a final story. In 1995, a young guy from Newfoundland named Darren Langdon was called up to meet us on a road trip. Being between leagues, Darren did not have any of his dress clothes. Thanks. If memory serves me, he showed up at the airport wearing the equivalent of overalls and carrying a toothbrush. Through all the appropriate ribbing and laughter, Mark said nothing, but did recognize the importance of this likable and tough young man to the organization. The next morning, there was a brand new designer suit in Darren's size hanging in his locker. This gesture said it all. Congratulations and welcome. You are one of our family now. We value your contribution and we're excited for your success. Loyal, inclusive, caring. Words not normally used to describe an athlete, but this is exactly what makes him the extraordinary person that he is. We here in New York, who are privileged to experience his mastery firsthand, have been challenged and changed for the better by his example. His impressive records may someday be broken, but his character, leadership, and sheer force of personality simply never will be matched. So on behalf of everyone fortunate enough to call you a teammate, the entire Ranger organization, and all the fans of New York, I want to say thank you to a brilliant competitor, a peerless leader, and a true friend.
Thank you to Adam, Brian, and Mike. Now, it's time to hear from the man that defines what it means to be a leader. The captain, your Mark Messier. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I said yesterday I'm not quite sure how to condense 26 years of memories into a 5-minute speech, or trying to collect my thoughts and memories here and even know what to talk about. But tonight's celebration was called the celebration of a captain.
And I said, I'm not sure if it shouldn't be called a celebration of their Garden faithful. I came here to New York in '91, so excited to come and play for the New York Rangers. A dream come true. And I would like to thank some people, obviously Stanley Jaffe, Mr. Bob Gurkowski, and obviously Neil Smith. For giving me the opportunity to come to New York and play for the New York Rangers, and believing in me and sharing the same commitment and dreams that I had about winning a Stanley Cup in New York. Because without their support and unwavering commitment to excellence, we would never win the Stanley Cup here. And there's not another coach in the world that could have coached us to that Stanley Cup other than Mike Keenan. And Mike, I thank you for everything. And his assistants coach, Colin Campbell, and Dick Todd, who couldn't be here tonight. Soupy, thank you for your belief in me as a person and as a player. I appreciate everything you did for me as a hockey player, and your guidance throughout that year, a magical year for us. Thank you. Coming to New York was a dream, like I said, that I thought would never happen. I came here wanting to win a Stanley Cup, and what I got was a life experience that I never... I learned more about life and what was important about life coming here, and seeing that there was more important things to just playing hockey, and sharing in the compassion and the overall care and sincerity of the people here in New York has changed not only my life, but the life of my whole family, and I'll never forget that from you folks. No individual player can stand alone and be successful in a team sport. And I have been so blessed to have had an unbelievable support staff through my whole career, starting with obviously my family, who not only were there to support me, but cared enough to be there and want to be there through my whole career. And to every player that I played with, and to every trainer, and to everybody that's been affected and affected me through the hockey years in the NHL, I want to thank you. And it's obviously too many to name everybody, but I want you to know that I'm thinking of you all. You all played a huge part in my success in one way or another. And the ultimate of that is the guy standing beside me or behind me here, is that
Without their support and their belief and their dedication, discipline, and overall hard work, the Stanley Cup would have never come to New York no matter what. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your unwavering support through that year. I would like to thank Jim Dolan and his family and for giving me the opportunity to come back to New York and finish my career here with the New York Rangers. And also, I'd like to thank Glenn Sather. And I said yesterday in the press conference, nobody has had more of an impact on my career other than my father. Glenn was a father figure to me. He was a mentor. He was a coach. And I know I wouldn't be standing here without Glenn's support and belief in me, as not only as a person, as a player. And Glenn, thank you. I will never forget what you did for me. There's a lot of people that aren't with us here that were here in '94. For one reason or another, whether through tragedy or sickness or what have you, and every one of us in here has been affected by that. And we all know that they're looking down on us right now, wishing they were here to celebrate it with us. And for them, and for all of you, I want to say thank you to those folks that wish they could have been here. Retiring was a tough decision, but it's a decision that I knew was the right thing to do at the right time. I've been honored to have the opportunity to play in New York, in the most famous arena in the world, to have the best fans in the world behind me. And I will never forget the 10 years that I was able to be and have the honor to be the captain of the New York Rangers. The man standing behind me right here, John Davidson. I want to thank him for his unwavering support through the good times and the bad times here in New York. He believed in me. From the time I came here, he supported me in times that were tough. And to the day that I retired, he's been a loyal friend of mine, and I want to thank him for all his contributions. And also to Sam Rosen, and I want to thank Sam Rosen, and I, like probably everybody else is here, is watching the replay of the 7th game today on the MSG highlight reels. And not only the job that they did that night, but the job that they did and still do to this day is unparalleled in the business. And thank you, Sam, for your support. And to all the Garden employees, that made this night so special and put in the hard work. Those names will never be mentioned because there's too many people behind the scenes that made it all happen. And to the people who make this place what it is, who are behind the scenes, who never get any credit, thank you all. I am completely overwhelmed. I've been completely overwhelmed from the day that I came to New York. I'm completely overwhelmed tonight, and someone asked me tonight, are you ready? Are you prepared? And I said, I'm not sure if I know how to prepare this. This is like every big game that I've ever played condensed into one night. And they said, do you have a speech ready? And I go, a speech wouldn't matter. I wouldn't be able to read it anyways, so. And lastly, there's so many people that I'm not mentioning, and it tears my heart out. But again, I want this to be a celebration tonight of the Rangers organization, of my life, of my experience as a player. And from now on, when I look up at the ceiling and see my banner up there, to me it's going to be a symbol. It's going to be a symbol of the hard work and dedication that all the players that I played with, all the people behind me, and for me, it's an honor to be up there beside Eddie Jacquemin, Mike Richter, Rod Gilbert, and all the other greats here in this building. So, someone actually said tonight, well, you played with Eddie Jacquemin, didn't you? I never had the opportunity to, but I did play with Mike Richter. And Mike, it's going to be an honor to be up there beside you, because you're an inspiration to all of us with your dedication to the game, on and off the ice, and to the people here of New York. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the night has one final surprise before we hoist Mark's banner into Rangers history. As many of you know, the late Christopher Reeve was a tremendous member of the Garden faithful. He and his family were among the team's most loyal and passionate fans, and they've been a continuing inspiration to all of us. Chris's wife, Dana, has become a symbol of strength and courage to people everywhere. for her devotion to Chris throughout his long struggle with spinal cord injury, as well as her own personal battle with lung cancer, a battle that continues. Singing a special tribute to Mark, please welcome back to the Garden our friend, now and forever, Dana Reeve.
Didn't we find the ecstasy? Didn't we share the daylight as you walked into my life? Now and forever I'll remember all the promises still unbroken. Think about all the words between us that never needed to be spoken. We had a moment, just one moment, that would last beyond the dream, beyond a lifetime. We are the lucky ones. Some people never get to do all we got to do. Now and forever I will always think of you. Didn't we come together? Didn't we live together? Didn't we cry together? Didn't we play together? Didn't we love together? And together we lit up the world. I miss the tears, I miss the laughter, I miss the and all that followed after. Sometimes I wish I could always be with you the way we used to do. Oh, now and forever I will always think of you. We had a moment, just one moment, that would last beyond a dream, beyond a lifetime. We are the lucky ones. Some people never get to do all we got to do. Now and forever I will always think of you. Now and forever I will always be with you.
Mark and his family will now proceed to the 7th Avenue goal by the Stanley Cup for the raising of number 11 into Garden history. the Stanley Cup and share it with the Ranger fans everywhere. Mark, it's time for you to take your rightful place above the ice at Madison Square Garden forever as one of the greatest Rangers in history. This will last a lifetime. It has been an honor to host this ceremony for all of you, the greatest fans in sports. With this distinguished group of current Rangers, alumni, members of Mark's family, Dana Reeve, and of course, a man who will live in our hearts and the Garden for all time, Mark Messier. Thank you, Captain.
some of those youngsters didn't know who Mark Messier was before. They certainly know now. An acknowledgement, Pat DePuzzo. Earlier is Ryan Smith, standing forward. There's Dan Maruelli, Ryan Smith of the Edmonton Oilers. The officials acknowledging Mark Messier, the captain, Jason Smith of the Edmonton Oilers, and of course, Mark and the great attachment he had to Edmonton, where it all began. There are still people with the Oilers who know Mark, and of course, Kevin Lowe and Craig McTavish behind the bench. What a night. New York knows how to do it. George Larocque acknowledging Mark. Chris Pronger. Tom Rennie, Coach Mark in Vancouver. David Smith, the former medical trainer of the Rangers when they won the Stanley Cup. And Chief Ryan, Dennis Ryan, the head of security. He was there alongside the bench the night the Rangers won the Cup. And there it is. It's almost as if it belongs in Mark's home. He's won it so many times. And to see him raise it again, just a marvelous moment. A great, great ceremony. Corey Cross, who played here in New York briefly, and they're the former teammates. Charlie Huddy, Greg Simpson, the current New York Rangers going back to the locker room, do a little stretching. We'll clear the ice. There'll be a brief warm-up. There's Steve Staios, of course, Marek Malik, and Todd Harvey, and the people that Mark acknowledged, the people who work here and are so important to the success of the Rangers and the organization. Let's go to Al, who's standing next to Mark. Go ahead, Al.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Mark, when did it reach the overwhelming stage? Was it before you even walked down the hallway? Because we were waiting for you for a long time there, way back in the beginning.
Well, I made the mistake of starting to watch all the videos, and they always stir a lot of emotions and memories. And but as I could feel it building up for a long time, though, and just way too hard to control emotions in a night like this.
All right, the ultimate leader would get this team now ready to play a game. How do you do that?
Well, it's tough for the players when you have these kinds of nights. It's they're come off warm up, and but I just thank them for their support by doing that and being part of the celebration. And I can't say more about all the players that I played with and against throughout my career.
Thanks. Congratulations. It was great. Sam?
Thanks, Al. He touched everyone, and he did it again tonight. We'll be back. Rangers and Oilers are coming up.